Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're doing the highly requested and oh so controversial Sticker by NCT.
Hey guys, before we get started with today's video, I wanted to give a shout out to today's sponsor, which is Aura, which they are a all-in-one bundled service in the form of online security. And not only do they provide an antivirus service, but they do also check a bunch of broker sites that swap all of your personal information and they wipe out all of that info. So if you've ever noticed that you've been receiving emails or phone calls that kind of seem really like scammers, that's kind of when you know that your information has been out there. And whenever I look at my own information, there's maybe like one or two sites that I can probably stand to not have my information on. So this is a good example about why we could use a service like this. And they're actually offering a 14-day free trial, which you can check out via the link below in my description or in the comments. It's aura.com/RoninMan. So like I said, it is a bundle service, so it's not just checking broker sites and helping out with antivirus software. They also do have secure VPNs. They also give you live, up-to-date fraud alerts for any of your banking or your credit cards. They even have 24/7 US-based support, and they even insure you to up to $5 million of identity theft protection. So they've really gone all out to make sure that you are covered as long as you're under their protection. So feel free to check it out. Again, it's 14 days for free. So get yourself some extra security and check out my sponsor Aura at aura.com/RoninMan and see if any of your data has been breached. All right, guys, so a lot of you have requested us to check out Sticker. Apparently, this is a highly controversial song. Would you say this is like a 50-50 thing in the community?
Oh, for sure. And it's definitely not a middle ground song, right? Like, you love this song or you hate this song.
Okay.
I mean, I will say, probably because I am such a huge NCT fan, I don't hate it quite as much as I did when I first heard it. Like, when I first heard the song, I was like, what is this abomination? Coincidentally, there is like a really viral video that goes around regarding the song where all of the boys from NCT 127 are sitting and listening to it for the first time, and the reactions are either like, fuck yeah, like, let's go, or like... So even within NCT 127, I think the song is polarizing. So it's really interesting. NCT 127 gets this a lot. They have a lot of polarizing songs, again, as we discussed last time, because they are so experimental with their sound. So it's not going to be to everyone's taste. I just, out of curiosity, I just looked up NCT Sticker on Spotify just to kind of see like what playlist it made. It did make a worst K-pop songs list ever, along with many other NCT songs, and I think this list is very rude, and if you made it on Spotify, you're wrong for that. So but that's NCT.
Okay. What do you have a prediction on whether I like it or not?
As a musician, you might like it better than I do, actually. Because it does do a lot in a very different, new way, and I think you'll at least appreciate that they're pushing the boundaries of what pop music is with this song.
All right.
Whether or not you're gonna like it, I don't. So there's no way to tell, right? Because like people have such vast and varied responses to this song. Could you like it? Sure. That's
what I feel like. Like I have no idea what this song sounds like at all. But I'm guessing, like I would appreciate maybe musically like what it is,
the production value,
the technical side of things. I might be able to like pick things, because that's usually how I like to critique anyway. I usually like to find something, even if I don't like the song overall, there's usually something about it I like. But yeah, like that's a pretty good guess, I would say. Some
people were like a little miffed at me that I like already like pooed on the parade before you even heard it, and had like said that I didn't like it, it was controversial, whatever. They wish that you'd been able to go in there like completely clean slate, but I also don't think you're terribly like swayed by that kind of thing anyway.
I don't think I don't think that really affected me. If anything, it just kind of I think it's okay to be like on guard versus like going in just fresh and like not realizing what it's gonna be. But I can kind of see it either way. But I would say, from my perspective, I don't feel like anything's been ruined. I'm not gonna go in here thinking it's already bad. It's just I'm gonna keep my guard up and my mind open, and go in as best as I can.
He's not my puppet, so like it's gonna be fine.
Not on camera,
not in
anyway.
This.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay, so are you ready to?
I'm so ready.
Throw me into this.
Yeah,
okay.
Sure am.
So, guys, before we check this out, feel free to check out our memberships. They're only $1, and you get to check out these videos early and also anime reactions.
You need 원하는 걸 골라보죠. I can show you need here 퍼진 않은 sticker. Bam bam 안가를 먼저 나도 좀 반박했을 때 when we should get the vibe 우리들은 럭을 총 모양으로 whoop whoop baby. Yeah yeah yeah. 겁을 내지 말아줘. Yeah yeah yeah. Think about 내 별이. Yeah yeah yeah. 잠시 되지 않아 정말.
It's definitely different.
Yeah.
Yeah yeah yeah. 저 세계 영화라는 거. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Very like staccato, discordant sounds going on here.
Yeah, a lot of empty space.
I do like this part.
Like a sticker.
I already have thoughts.
I'm so curious.
Smart, guys.
I'm the sticker for your love. 그러니까 보인다면 들린다면 바로 대답해 like baby. Yeah yeah yeah. 이끌리는 느낌새. Yeah yeah yeah. Talk about 너의 중력. Yeah yeah yeah. 너무 세게 달게 날리. 아주 가리한 내 태도가. Yeah yeah yeah. 정신도 못 차리는 거. Yeah yeah yeah. 거부할 수 없다가 baby go. You treat me like a boy. 꿈을 쫓는 어른아이처럼 말이야.
This is beautiful.
들어봐봐 이건 절대 입에 발린 말이 아니야. 가져왔던 내 모든 감정은 너 맞이하기 위한 네가 보스란 그 말이야. 내 옆에 놓고.
Yeah, that has a nice melody to it. It's
Yeah.
kind of a bit more put together.
내 작품의 주인공은 너니까.
Melodic. That in a way that this is discordant.
Yeah.
너와 나의 역사만 써내려가. 사랑한단 말 말고 아껴줘. 내 맘을 받아줘. 모든 고민들은 bye bye bye. 흘러가는 대로.
We don't talk about him, just so you know.
Why?
Because we don't.
Okay.
자연스러운 girl. You were gonna be only one. I love this melodrama. 너 없인 관객이 하나도 없는.
We can talk about him though, if you'd like.
Okay. I like this part.
This is good, yeah. Again, cinematography on these videos is insane. Remember what I was saying about Franken songs?
Yes.
That's a Franken song.
Okay.
For sure. Maybe one of the worst offender. Not the worst offender, but it's pretty high up there.
Okay. So, I like it. And it's interesting because, like, when I said I had thoughts initially, those thoughts kind of slowly faded away. My initial thoughts were, especially when it came to the verse, it reminded me of whenever I'm writing music using samples, and you try to experiment combining, like, you start off with the sound, and it's like, okay, this is pretty cool, and then you start trying to harmonize it with other sounds that maybe have nothing to do with it, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And that's kind of what this felt like to me, is that they were a bit experimental with the sounds that they were using and seeing if these two things work, and I guess to them it worked just enough for them to keep them together. That's kind of the vibe I got. But eventually, throughout the song, by the time I got like about 3/4 in, I kind of felt like the sounds were working for me too. Not that they didn't at first, but they were definitely odd.
Your ear had to adjust to them.
Yeah, and yeah, it's two very, not even two different vibes. There's a few different vibes throughout the whole song. There's like 3 or 4 different, very different sounding parts. The verses are very, they're their own character. The choruses are their own character. Like the pre-choruses are their own character. Like everything is just very different. And they definitely need to be applauded for being able to even transition into one thing to the next, because just sonically those sounds don't sound like, especially when you separate all the different sections of the song, combining them like that, it doesn't sound like they go together at all. And so it's just interesting that in that split second when you transition from one thing to the next, it just somehow works.
It's not jarring. It should be jarring, and it's not.
Yeah, and maybe in some weird way it is, but not in, not in a negative way, you know. Yeah, it's definitely a strange song for sure, and yeah, I think I do like it. I like it. It's definitely very creative. It's experimental. It's kind of bold in some ways too. Yes. They did give us a little bit of familiarity with, their pre-chorus and chorus, those sorts of things.
Which of course are the parts that I liked, because they were more melodic, more traditional sounding pop music.
Yeah, but those parts also didn't like over deliver either. They were just good enough to have some semblance of, hey, here's what a normal song sounds like, or like a normal hook, and they give you a reason to stay and keep going if you don't like the verse, that is.
Right.
But yeah, that was a very interesting ride. I'm actually surprised I like it more than I do, more than I expected rather, and because I was kind of like, I'll appreciate, like we said, I'll appreciate the technical side of it, and then maybe the song will be just kind of like okay or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think with repeated listens with this song, I think I would actually end up liking it more.
And
if I spend more time with it.
Maybe immersing yourself in the sound completely with like headphones, you'd be able to pick out some of those nuances in there.
Yeah, we're trying something new right now with just like listening to speakers, but we're not trying to like blow out the microphone too. So we're kind of like going with like a little less than half power right now with my speakers. So we can hear everything, but it's, but we're not like totally immersed right now. And so, but yeah, like that's, I liked it.
Good. Okay. And that's the beauty of NCT, and that's the beauty of this song in particular. Like, it's iconic in NCT's discography for a reason, right? Because you are gonna have those vastly different reactions to the song. Maybe like over time, my hatred isn't quite as strong as it was initially, and just listening to it here, because I don't listen to the song very much because I don't like it. So it's not a song that like I would even really say I'm overly familiar with, because it's not like a song where I listen to it over and over again like I do with most NCT songs. So like listening to it here, still there was like some freshness to it for me because I haven't ran it into the ground, and there are beautiful parts in there that I did like. I think it's the verses for me that really pull me out of, but that's the experimental part of the song, right? Like you can't get rid of those verses. They are what makes Sticker Sticker. So, and you know what? I always applaud NCT for doing things like this. I love that they have polarizing songs, and I love that they experiment with their sound. They're doing something different. They're doing something interesting, fresh, and unique, and that's kind of rare in K-pop, really.
Yeah.
I'd say aside from like ATEEZ and Stray Kids, who also kind of push the boundaries of what K-pop is and does, like NCT leads the pack on that, and I feel like they're kind of trailblazers in the world of K-pop. So even if I don't like it, I respect the hell out of it. So
yeah, I think I'll have to I don't know this for sure because I only gave this one listen, but I don't know if maybe you might know this, but in the verses, do the verses progress as the song goes along? Like, do more layers get added onto it in the verses themselves?
That is almost always the case with NCT songs. I would imagine so. Again, I don't listen to the song super often, so I couldn't tell you for sure, but I would hazard a guess that yes.
Because I'm trying to remember it, and maybe it's just because of how I felt initially. I don't know if it's because of
because it actually changed.
Yeah, because I don't know if it actually does change, but it did feel like in the beginning is very minimalist. It's a lot of negative space, a lot of dead air, and just you said you mentioned staccato, which is bravo for pulling that out.
Thanks.
So it's and those of you that don't know, it's just staccato is just a very upbeat kind of rhythm, and it's just there's a lot of space in staccato, and so that's kind of what these sounds were doing, leaving a lot of space in between everything. But then like I said, I ended up liking it more later, and I don't know if that's because I just got attuned to it, or because they were actually adding more layers to the verses so that it actually became more musical. So
recalling how minimalistic, like you said, that intro is, they had to add more layers, and I think that's a typical progression for K-pop songs, but particularly NCT. So.
Yeah, it's so when I listen to music, I don't know if you're the same way, but I tend to be very in my own head, visual. I like to picture things whenever I listen to music, and the thing that verse did for me was that it made me picture things, and so that's kind of I don't know if that's a requirement for me to like music, but if it does make me do that, that's definitely a big thumbs up for me. So
okay.
It was just kind of making me picture movie scenes, or just imagine me walking somewhere, and this is a good song to go walking to, whether it's to go shopping or wherever, but so I can kind of imagine myself with this song doing that, and that really helps me. That helps me like it more, that I can actually imagine an actual utility for this song to apply to my life in some way.
Yeah.
So I think I'm ready to rate this.
Okay. All right. Go ahead.
Okay. I think this is going to be I'm going to say 7.8. I'm going to say.
It's pretty high.
It's pretty high.
And it is, I feel like for you particularly, this is probably going to be with room to grow, kind of.
Yeah, and that's kind of why. So I don't think it's going to get higher than 7.8 upon repeated listens. So I'm kind of adding a couple points in there just to as a little buffer to be it's going to be this good. It's going to peak here. And it's going to get better for me. But yeah, so I think it's going to 7.8.
Okay.
So I really enjoyed that.
I don't think I should rate it. I think we know what I think about Sticker, and we're not here to hurt people's feelings, because listen, a lot of people take this song to be their child. There's some vehement reactions.
Is it lower than a 5?
It's not lower than a 5.
Okay.
It's actually probably about a 5. It's very average, but it's actually not an average song, which is why I don't really like rating it, because it's not an average song.
Yeah.
And I feel like giving it a 5 doesn't really do what the song is and does justice.
Yeah.
But just from my own personal listening pleasure, it's a 5. But in terms of what it is, I would probably rate it an 8. Does that make sense? Because I don't personally enjoy the song, but I realize and recognize what it does and how forward thinking it is in kind of a stale pop world. If that makes sense.
Yeah. I think if I listen to this and it's if I'm like, surrounded by it, and it all of a sudden
it becomes way more rich, for sure.
Yeah. If it has like, some more bass, some more undertones, and just some more things going on, like it would only just get better. So, I think I'm gonna end up with a 7.8 on that. So, okay.
All right,
guys. So let me know if you even expected that out of my listen, and if you're happy with my score, or
what other controversial NCT songs you think you should listen to? Because there was some things that made that list, like Hot Sauce and Glitch Mode, and that's
yeah, you guys have been really great in the comment section. Thank you so much for all the suggestions. So keep doing that, and we're gonna check out what you guys have to say and see what we can do. So hope you enjoyed the reaction. That's it from us, and see you later.